and for the priests, nothing more. Now, the second pressing, they would start adding on weight. So they would have to let the beam go, release the rope and start lifting these heavy stones, which each stone is about 1,200 pounds. Now, the second pressing of the baskets, the oil they would use it for food, for medicine, and for perfume. Okay? Now, after they have done the second pressing, they still use the same baskets. Now they would start lifting up all the stones to get as much weight as possible, pressing down on all these baskets. So the third pressing, the olive oil we would get would be a bit dirty because all the pulp would start coming out into the oil. So it wasn't really edible for food or anything else. So they would only use it for olive lamps and for making soap. Now in the first century they didn't let anything go to waste. So even the mash that they had, that was left in all the baskets, they dried it up like this one here, and they would use it for burning. Now, the last stage would be separating the oil from water, and we know because the oil is much lighter than water, it was much easier to scoop up because it would separate itself from the water eventually. Now, before we go on, I just want to say two things. Now, a lot of words in Hebrew, they have names in Hebrew, they have a meaning. And so, remember when Jesus, when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane? Okay? The word Gethsemane in Hebrew is Gat Shmanim. And it means olive press. So when Jesus was praying, he was praying in a garden called Olive Press. And we know that he was praying 3 times. And each of those 3 times, he had to wake up his disciples because he asked them to pray with him, but each time they would fall asleep. And we know that he was under tremendous pressure because he knew what was about to come. And he even sweated with blood, and he prayed that, Father, if you could, pass this cup over me, but still your will be done. Now, just think about this and the resemblance that when Jesus prayed 3 times, I told you about these olives also being pressed 3 times. And Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane in the olive press. And he was pressed just like these olives 3 times as he prayed. And we know that if we would not crush the olives, we would never get any olive oil. And the same thing with Jesus. If he wouldn't have been crushed for us, we know that we'd never get the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go